Welcome to Witchcast!
Cause it's Witchcast!
I'm Emily.
I'm Kate.
And we're your co-hosts of this, the Witchcast Podcast.
That's right, we're your learning, growing, ever-evolving novice, which is here to explore everything under the woo-woo, esoteric, spiritual umbrella.
And what a beautiful umbrella it is.
It's gorgeous.
And today, under the umbrella, I don't know.
Yes, we're all under the umbrella together.
We have a very special guest. We are thrilled to welcome comedian, Reiki master, shaman, Andrea Coleman. Welcome. So glad to have you here.
Hi, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So happy to have you.
Thrilled to have you, yeah.
You are a person of many talents, and we're so thrilled to have you because I feel like a lot of people know you as a comedian. You're also a lawyer, and you work a lot of your legal work into your comedy as well, which is like, God bless, Goddess bless, need that. But you also revealed to us recently that you have a whole little magic side with your Reiki and shamanism. So we're so excited to talk about all the many facets that make up Andrea.
So thrilled to have you. And to talk about all this, you mentioned before we started recording that you don't often get introduced as a Reiki or master shaman. Is it, or Reiki master or shaman? You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Words are hard sometimes. What's the deal with that? Why, are you keeping it? Are you in the broom closet? How do you feel?
I'm not so much in the broom closet, but I'm not leading with that so much right now. I haven't done sessions with anyone in a few years, and so I think there was a time where I thought, okay, I'm gonna be, I'd started a website that I hadn't published yet, but I started working on the website and quotes and everything, and I was going to kind of put a lot of energy into making that something that I did more regularly, part of my weekly life is doing sessions with people. And then I'm focusing more on comedy right now. So I think I'm a bit shy about it because I'm not doing it right now. And haven't done a session with anyone, like I said, in a few years, or a couple years. So it feels a little bit
So you're saying that you're capable of doing one project at a time and focusing on that? Because that's amazing.
Well,
that's magic, and I'd like to hear about that.
I think I'm sort of focusing on one thing right now, but when I say creativity, I'm focusing on writing and then jokes and then plays and then submitting for festivals and stuff. So that feels like a million projects. But I do have to acknowledge that this part of me that's more of magical, mystical, spiritual is something that I do on a daily basis. But it's, I don't feel like it's as formal as the training I have in terms of Reiki and shamanism. But in terms of receiving divine communication and acting on it, that's something that I do all the time. But it's also not something that I talk to a lot of people about because I don't really know how receptive the average person's going to be to me being I just got this information kind of thing.
Oh, 100%. I feel like when I'm at parties and stuff and I hear someone across the room being talking about something like that, I'm I'm going to make my way over and be like, hey, are you also interested in
Yeah, you have to suss them out. Well, so I want to talk a bit about your training because I think that this is something a lot of people feel that you have to be offering your services professionally or making money out of something, right? To be able to call, and this is not
sharing
just
it with other people,
right?
I guess,
and it's not. I don't think it's just exclusive to spirituality. I think it's also exclusive. I think artists also experience this. I think a lot of people have this kind of imposter syndrome in a way where they're like, if I'm not making a living out of this, if I'm not reaching a certain level of daily activity or giving it or offering it, like Emily said, to a group, to the public, then I don't feel like I can call myself these words, these terms, these titles. But you are a Reiki master. You did go through the training, and you said you also went through shaman training. Can you tell us a bit about that? What was that journey? I'm so curious to learn more.
Absolutely. Well, it started where I was trying to heal some things with myself. So physically, I have fibroids and they keep recurring. And I've in the past had a couple surgeries to remove them, and they keep coming back. And so I've, over the years, become more willing to look at, okay, what am I doing or not willing to do that is encouraging these things to continue to like grow in me. So on one end, it was like, okay, let me look at what I'm eating and what I'm not eating and make some modifications there. Like, where am I exercising or not exercising? Where can I make some changes there? And then it was also just like, okay, well, could this be like about my relationship with like my mom and my grandmother? And like, is this like something that's more spiritual? It's to do with like my lineage. And so I think what ended up happening was one of the ideas that like I found a book that was talking about the relationship between mothers and daughters, and then I think I was working with like a therapist, and she's like, how about if you like go to a therapy, like go to get a massage, and while you're getting a massage, you think about like, what if the woman giving you the massage was your mom, like with her hands on you? Because I think that was an area that was a challenge of me, is like when I was growing up, I didn't get a lot of physical, or I didn't get the level of like physical contact from my mother that I think I maybe needed or would have wanted. And so I went into that massage session of like, okay, if it feels good with this woman, I'm gonna like act like, kind of hold it as if she is my mom touching me right now.
Wow.
And so then in that session, I got divine communication, like, you need to study Reiki. And I was like,
Wow.
what? I was like, this is, and I'd heard of Reiki years before, and I grew up in a Baptist church. So I'd heard of like the idea of like laying on of hands, and, but I never thought it was something, I thought it was something people did in biblical times. I didn't think it was something that modern day people did. And so the first time I heard about it, like 15 years ago, somebody told me that they were studying Reiki. I was like, that's the devil. And you're going, I mean, I didn't say that. I thought it. I was like, And then my boyfriend's mom years later is like, oh yeah, I'm a Reiki master. And I was like, you're a Reiki master, but you're Catholic. And I was just like, what's going on? And so then I think over the years, the judgments I had about it started to go to sort of melt. And so then in that session, when I heard the communication about studying Reiki, I was like, okay. And so I was looking around New York City, like, where could I study it? And then I found a woman. There were people, it was possible to do it in person, I think, but it was, for some reason, I don't know if it was just a challenge in terms of when they were going to start or whether they were going to start. I think it was like during the pandemic. So I was like, are they doing it or not doing it? And then I found a woman online, and I was like, I like this woman, but this is online. Like, this is how can you do Reiki online, and cut to, I ended up taking the classes with her over, several classes and months, and it was, I had the experience in the first session of like the first class where I was like, oh my God, like, even though we're not in the same room, like, I just felt something, and I'm seeing things. And so anyway, so that was the long story short, kind of like the training was with somebody that I met online, and it was like a group class, and we did sessions on each other. She would do like kind of a group thing, and then the different trainings with her virtually. And then I took those same classes with her to study shamanism. And so it really started with me trying to have some healing on myself. And then it turned into, one of the things that she said that I thought was really great. She goes, if you feel like you're making it up, then you're doing it right. I was like, okay, well, I definitely feel like I'm making this up. Like, I feel like, what is happening? Like, but then like, I saw people, and like I would get communication and see things. And then I would, when it was, a lot of the training is like practicing on other classmates, and doing sessions with other classmates and healings with other classmates. And so I would receive something, And I'm like, I don't know if this is crazy or not. And I'm just like writing it down. And then when they would, wake up, oftentimes people would fall asleep. I would have the opportunity to say, okay, this is what I saw. This is a communication I got. And they would be like, oh my gosh, da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know you. And I just said something that feels very like that happened to you when you were a kid or whatever. So, that was my kind of in a nutshell, the training. And so most of the sessions I've done for others have been virtual over Zoom. And then the people that I've done in person is the only person I've done in person with is my boyfriend. Cause he's like, I'm ready. Like, let's go. Like I got a shaman in the house. Like I want a session.
Free healthcare.
That all sounds incredible. So you first, okay, I want to track backward for a second. You first got interested because you were doing some healing. I'm really interested in, like, when you first came to, like, or when you first heard about Reiki, you were sort of like, that is the devil. What sort of environment did you grow up in?
I grew up in Southeastern Virginia. So I grew up going to a Baptist church in the South, meaning, like, all black church. And they didn't really talk about... They certainly didn't talk about Reiki. Like, it's a very, I mean, I don't know if I'm in a place to say that it's like liberal, but it's like people were, this is what my boyfriend describes it as. It's like going to a Broadway show. Whenever he's gone to my church, he's like, this is like a party or whatever. So people were very free with like the music and, speaking in tongues or like falling out or like, it wasn't always like that every week. Mm-hmm. But I definitely went to church every Sunday. Vacation Bible school in the summer. My mom is now a reverend, even though she wasn't when I was growing up, but she is now as an adult. She became a reverend, and I have a lot of ministers and deacons in my family, mostly women. I have like a very female-centered family, and so most of a few of my aunts are ministers or have been ministers, had their own churches, and they're pretty, like, the idea of, like, when you talk about, like, spirituality, it's a very much like, I prayed, like, I couldn't find such and such. I prayed to the Lord and da-da-da-da, and I found it. Or, mm-hmm. like, this bill was due and such, and then I asked Jesus, da-da-da. Like, it was very, like, I know when I met other people, like, the way that my family used the word Jesus, like, in terms of everyday conversation, like, Lord Jesus, take it from me, and da-da-da-da. Like, all this, like, it was very... like, I think I have been told by others, they're like, that's kind of blasphemous. I'm like, it's not in my family. Like, you talk about Jesus and the Lord and da-da-da, like, kind of in everyday conversation. So it was kind of fluid in a way. And it would be like, okay, like, let's lay hands on this person. Like, let's all pray over this person. Like, all put our hands on them. But I'd never heard of anyone using the phrase, like, Reiki or mm-hmm. like, I don't know, like, it's so interesting. Like, it felt like when the person who brought it up like 15 years ago, she's like, oh yeah, I'm praying to do what they kind of are doing in the Bible. I was like, okay, that feels like a step too far. Like, it's one thing to, like, a bunch of women in a room to put their hands on somebody to pray over them. That's one thing, but like, it seemed almost like, is that something that's available to us? Like, for that to even be allowed? And then I think as I started having more experiences myself of, like, I would feel like the divine energy giving me information, I think I became a bit more, open. And then also just like the people that I knew, I was like, who practice Reiki, I was like, okay, well, they are regular people. They're not like crazy. They have jobs, they have rent, and they pay it. And like, I know them kind of intimately. So it's not just like some person who I don't feel comfortable with, who is kind of saying they have a power that they are wielding a power in a way that feels odd. It's like, no, I know these people really well, and I feel like I can trust what they're saying, and there's a level of professionalism with them. So if they're saying they're doing Reiki, then okay, that's legit.
Yeah. I feel like that's really a common revelation that Emily and I have had over the years with this podcast, meeting a lot of different practitioners, and also like being raised. I think Emily, you were raised Catholic too, right, Emily?
Semi-Catholic. My dad's family is Irish Catholic, and my mom didn't want me to be raised in the Catholic Church because of the way that they treat women. So it was always sort of a conversation.
Gotcha. But I think also, like, at the risk of offending some people, I personally see a lot of like witchcraft in Christianity and like in the church, and like everything you were describing. And I'm not super familiar, of course, with Southern Baptist traditions, but like everything you're describing to me, I'm like thinking this sounds hella witchy, which I know would like make them very upset, and I don't want to like upset anyone. But like this is something that I see a lot on like witch talk or like Instagram of like changing the water into wine, like, having a loaf of bread to feed enough people, 40 days and 40 nights. All of that stuff is, to me, a lot of the same type of practice that a lot of more esoteric practitioners also follow. It's just different names, right? Mm-hmm. It's just different books. It's different, formatting. It's a different outfit. But at its core, I think it's a lot of the same thing. You could be thanking... Like, it's so funny, your answer, like the women in your family asking Lord Jesus for help to find something. I ask the universe every day. I'm like, or the little goblins, whatever, you call them whatever you want. And I'm like, hey, please help me find this. Or like, I'm going to pray for you. And I say that as a very like secular, like what, universal intent of like, I think energy and connection to a higher power, to the larger picture, is something that we as humans have always really resonated with, and however that finds you, I think is wonderful, as long as you're not like trying to hurt others, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's so great that you kind of were unpacking that through the years too, of like, because Reiki is like based in a Japanese practice traditionally, but like you said, a laying on of hands, I think is a universal, like since the beginning of time, man has done that. You know what I mean? Like mankind has done that. So I think that's so cool that found you.
Yeah, I love that it found me. And because I also, I don't know if you've heard of this concept of human design, where it's like a combination of different practices. But one of the things I learned from like doing my human design was that one of my gifts is in my hands. Like that's my primary, my primary gift is like through hands. And so whether I'm actually touching them or not, it felt like a lot of things kind of coming together to show me like, okay, let me just have this experience and try this. So, and then I think like in my legal practice, my spirituality has been like massive, and there are just certain things in my experience that cannot be denied, where I would get divine communication and I'm like, okay, well, that was not my idea. And I definitely don't want to do what you just said to do, but I'm up against the wall. And so let's try it.
And it's worked out. And
it works out. I end up winning. I win the motion. I win the case.
That's amazing.
It's really like crazy. It's crazy. But like needed because it would definitely feel like a very David and Goliath kind of situation where the opposing attorney, there'd be like 3 of them and they had like projectors and like boxes of stuff, and then it's just me at the other table with a notepad. I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen?
Could use a little help here.
Exactly. And like in that particular case, like actually it's happened twice. The projector broke, so they couldn't use it, and I was like,
amazing.
Oh my god. And then like just there was one time even where I was like, did you just put those words in his mouth? Like opposing counsel was making a point and I was like, I don't really know how to refute that argument. And then he like said the thing that undercut it right after. And I was like, oh my God, you just like undercut your, I was like, oh my God, the divine just how you say that. Thank God, because I didn't know that. And I really thank you very much. And I'm going to hammer that when it's my turn to go to the jury. You heard it yourself, ladies and gentlemen on the jury. Like, you just said da da da. Or
and I'm sure that guy's going like, what the
like, why did
I doing?
So it's been, or just like
amazing.
Yeah, winning things that. So I think that also helped me find purchase, where I'm like, okay, there's a lot of stuff like they didn't talk about this in church. I went to church a lot. Nobody ever said, hey, when you're at work and you don't know what to do, you can get divine communication for what to say to a judge or a jury. Nobody ever said that.
Amazing. Right. I love this. Witch lawyer, God lawyer, like whatever I'm calling it now, like CBS, ABC, call up. Andrea, you have the rights. It's your IP. Like, we need to create it. This is like such a sitcom or dramedy idea.
It's like that show, what was it called? Like Text from God? Or do you remember that?
There was a show. No, I do not. That's hilarious.
There was a show where a guy would get texts from God. It was just, that was the whole premise. I think it was actually maybe not as well thought through as our show about this would obviously be.
Amazing. I just think of that 30 Rock. 30 Rock did like a bit about like God being in a true crime series, but it sucked because he just knew exactly what was happening from the beginning. And he's like, he's the bad guy. And then that's like the end of the episode. It's a later season bit. Anyway, I'm thinking of taglines like, it's just her and God versus the entire legal system, or like something like that. Like she's up against the wall, but with the spirit on her side.
Love that.
What does your divine messages look like, sound like? I'm always so curious when we have several guests who are very intuitive like you are, who have a very strong intuition. I am low-key jelly. Like how does that come across for you?
It's like it's a voice, but then sometimes it's a knowing. Like when I was very young, sometimes I would just know things. But in court, and it's often just like a communication, like do this, say this, ask this. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't make me do that. Like I was one time I had to argue a motion in front of an entire, like a very full courtroom. Like so many attorneys were in that room. This is Brooklyn, that they were streaming out the door, sitting in the jury box. It was like all my colleagues were there and people I didn't even know, obviously. And it's like, I needed to argue with this motion and I had never read it. We couldn't find the copy in our office. And I thought I wasn't going to have to do it. I thought the other attorney's office would do it. The judge decided the motion's out of order. So, that guy was out of the case. And so she's like, okay, counselor, are you ready? And I was like, oh my God. Like,
no.
Oh my God. And everyone's
you can't say
me.
no. Yeah, right.
And then I get the communication, ask the judge for her copy of the motion and ask for time to read it. And I'm like, that's not allowed. I don't even know if that's allowed. I've never heard of that before. And I was like, I don't know. I can really go back to that place. Like I was so scared and I wanted to cry and my armpits were burning. And so, but I did not know what to do. So I was like, so I said that. And then the judge goes, what? And I'm like, did she not hear me or does she hate it? Like what? So then I repeated myself and she goes, okay. And I was like, okay. And I was like, oh my God. And then her bailiff sets down the motion and it's like 5, I think it was more than 5, but at least 5 huge stacks of papers.
Oh my God.
Because the motion was like a medical motion. So it was like, I think 4 plaintiffs and it was medical records for all 4 plaintiffs. So records from all the different doctors, opposing doctors and their doctors. And I needed to read this to prove that they didn't meet the standard for a medical injury in the state of New York. I'm like, this has gotten worse. This has gotten worse. And so she's like, she puts all the bailiff puts all the papers on the table in front of everybody. And she's like, okay, counselor, I'm going to listen to another case and then come back to you. And I'm like, oh my God. So so then I said I was like, you need to tell me what papers to read, because I cannot obviously read all of these. And I'm like, just kind of like, almost like Neo in The Matrix. It was just like, okay, let's just like push everything to the side and focus. And then I just like went through and I was like, read this page. No, not that page, not that page. Okay, not this. And like, it was like, like that. And then it was like time. And she's like, counselor, are you ready? And I'm like, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready. And so then I'm just like getting communication the whole time. But it's a long story. Cut to, I won the motion. And like, actually, I almost didn't win it because like she was leaning no. And then, but I was just like, okay, Andre, like you didn't humiliate yourself in front of your colleagues. So that's fine. So it's okay that it was going to get denied. Yes. Like, at least you didn't embarrass yourself. But then the communication was like, tell the judge about this one specific line in the medical records. And so then all my stuff comes up around interrupting a black woman when she's talking, because the judge is a black woman. And she was basically being like, okay, I'm denying the motion. And so I was like, I don't want to interrupt her. This goes back to my family lineage of like, the women in my family are large and powerful and sometimes scary. And so I really have all this like fear and trauma around like getting in trouble and like being like rude, disrespectful, whatever to a black woman. But I was like, oh my God, like the divine's telling me to interrupt her. And I don't want to. Oh my God. And I'm like, excuse me, Your Honor. I just want to say, on this medical record said such and such. And I'm just saying. And she goes, you know what? You're right. I changed my mind. Motion granted. And like opposing counsel was like, what? Because he had already written out like that the motion was denied. And he goes, what just happened? I said, you have to cross out denied. It's granted. And it was insane.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing.
It was crazy.
Wow.
Wild.
This is the pilot right here.
Totally
like, and also good for you for like thinking on your feet and like handling that and like taking that feedback.
Yeah, for listening to the voices. Like I feel like the most difficult thing when you're getting a strong intuition or download is to not like use your cognitive dissonance to just completely dismiss it, to be like, I'm crazy. Especially when they're telling you things that don't make logical sense to you in that moment. Like you said, like there are several things that they told you that were really risky things to do, and you trusted them. And that is incredible. Like your ancestor team, your spirit guide team is like,
yeah, I mean,
strong as hell.
Obviously you come by like this like spiritual calling in some form naturally.
Wow. That's
it was
incredible.
terrifying.
That's an amazing story, Andrea. Wow.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was terrifying. I think I lost like 8 pounds in sweat.
I'm sweating just like hearing the story. So I don't know
my heart is racing. Like my heart rate is elevated. Okay, no one can steal this. We are Andrea selling this to the to Major Network.
Yeah. ABC's already on the horn. They say yes.
Woo, that's amazing. I have so many thoughts. Emily, you go. I have to like decompress from that.
Okay, so you grew up religious, and then you ended up in this sort of like Reiki, and then shamanism is really interesting. Was that just like you loved the teacher and you wanted another thing, or like did you feel like this is my path, or?
I love the teacher. I love the teacher, and I was excited for more. I was just excited for more. Like, yeah. And it was. I'm trying to remember if this came in the Reiki training or the shaman training, but I feel like I felt very connected to my grandmother on my dad's side, my dad's mom. And so she's on my team, like, which is really, awesome to see her. So she's on my team. And then my mom's brother who died, he's a very big inspiration for me, creatively. And then also spiritually, he's also on my team. And then like my uncle Porkchop, it's obviously not the name he was born with, but I didn't know that for a long time. I was like surprised that Porkchop wasn't his real name. But when he passed away recently, and he was on my team, and with shaman training, it was you learn a lot of different things, but one of the things I learned was about restoring, I'm going to say this wrong, but like restoring soul pieces of people's soul. And so when I was doing a session on my boyfriend, it was the day, let's say like my uncle passed on Friday. And like, I think that Friday, my boyfriend was like, oh, can you do a session on me sometime over the weekend? Because we were traveling. And I was like, okay. Actually, I think I was like, I don't know. We'll see how I feel. We'll see how I feel.
Yeah,
This
that's
is fair
legit.
and real. Yeah.
And then my uncle passed on Friday, but I didn't find out till Saturday. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, I feel like I should do this session. Because it just felt like I was just in a kind of a spiritual place or something from my uncle passing. And then in my boyfriend's session, my uncle was there. My uncle Porkchop was there as one of my helpers. And he played a pivotal role. So I think that's one of the things I really appreciate about shamanism is just like bringing in just different kind of people come in, but it's usually people play specific roles, and my uncle Michael and my grandmother are kind of just like they're chilling out. They're just like in thrones. But like my uncle Porkchop, he's like a big time worker, like not big time worker, but he like gets in there. And then Jesus is there and Joan of Arc, who I fucking love.
Wow.
So they're there, but it's always like you kind of never know who's going to show up, but those are the standard people who are there.
Wow.
That's incredible. Can we take a step back and can you just define shamanism, like what that means in terms of your practice and like, you know, like you mentioned a bit, like, right, bringing pieces of the soul back and calling in your team. I'd love to just know a little bit more about your practice of shamanism and how you define that.
I feel like whenever I'm doing a session on somebody, I kind of just like use all the different trainings. Like I never specifically say I'm going to do a shaman thing or a Reiki thing on you. I'm just like what comes in. And so for shamanism, this is obviously not like the official definition kind of thing, but I feel like shamanism typically for me uses more nature kind of elements. So it's like leaves or sticks or fire, even though fire can be used with Reiki also. And I feel like it's like soul. I think the word now is like soul retrieval, and it's like I find I use it more when people are like, okay, I feel like I lost a piece of myself at this age, or like I feel like a piece of me is missing, and then also just to be clear, like before I'm doing a session, I'm like reviewing my notes from my training because just to be like, what's the process exactly? And it feels like it's very much like kind of using improv training of just like, okay, let me listen and see, like go where I need to go. And then even just like my legal training, because sometimes so when somebody has a piece of their soul that they feel has been left, that a person has it, or a location has it or something, sometimes I'm like negotiating with these people like in their life who might have a piece of their soul. So I feel like I'm in a legal matter right now, where I'm just sitting there. And so I'm there. There was one session where I was there talking to the person. And then my uncle was there, my uncle Porkchop and Joan of Arc. They were kind of the muscle. Joan of Arc and my uncle Porkchop are like the muscle. And then I was there, and like I'm trying to like talk to them. I'm using my kind of general skill of like being nice and kind and da-da-da. And if that doesn't work, then, you know, my uncle and Joan are like, we also have swords. So if you're not going to do it, you know, the way, if you're not going to be willing or whatever. And so it's more interacting with different kind of entities and maybe going places, if that makes sense, like going to different parts. I mean, this can kind of be Reiki too, like going to different parts of the body, different chakras kind of thing, and like being like, where are we? Like, what's the lay of this land? And then like figuring it out. Because like also when I think this was in my shaman training, I got a power animal. And so that was a surprise. My power animal is a deer. I didn't think it was going to be a deer.
Wow.
I was like, a deer? I was like, what? And I even like, the deer came out from, it's like my teacher was like, okay, there's a tree, and then your power animal will come out from behind the tree. And I was like, okay. And then out came a deer. And I was like, a deer? And I'm like looking behind the deer. Like, is there somebody else back there?
Get out of the way. I'm trying to see my spirit animal.
And it's like, no, it's a deer. And I was like, okay, like.
Bringing vulnerability to the attack, I guess.
I love it. I love a deer for you. That's amazing.
So my deer comes into play, especially with kids. Like, I feel like one of my gifts is with kids, like people's inner child. And so a lot of times the kids are a little scared and it takes them a while to warm up. And so, but the deer really makes the kids more willing, like especially if like the soul piece I'm connecting to is a child and they're kind of afraid. And then I'm talking to the child, and then like the deer, they'll be like, I don't know about her, but I do like the deer. And I'm like, you like the deer? Do you want to like, you can pet the deer, you can like climb on the deer, so it's kind of like, I feel like it is utilizing more members, like more assistants. But so that's kind of what the shaman training is a lot. It's a lot of like, navigating different kind of energies.
That's amazing.
So interesting.
That's
it's
so cool.
Yeah.
I have like so many emotions. Like I feel like I've been choked up so many times the way when you've been talking. I have to ask, like, well, this is so personal. When you were being massaged, and going back to your earlier story, and like imagining that being your mother, I feel like how this is something I always like to ask our practitioners. How, I know you only really practice on your boyfriend right now, but is there a way that you found to balance kind of emotional boundaries and the self-protective measures with your work? Because I feel like sometimes wounds can be opened, right? Like trauma can be resurfaced, and you're being so open and vulnerable when you're kind of getting these downloads and I imagine and receiving. So what has your experience been like with kind of balancing your own like kind of trauma with your practice, your spiritual practice?
So like it's funny, I'm trying to think what my experience was with the woman massaging me. I remember I was like, I'd said to myself, like, if it doesn't feel right, then you don't have to. Because I was specifically looking for a massage therapist that's a black woman, because my mom's a black woman. And because I never, whatever, I never check. I just go, I have a time, I'm available, and whoever that is. But I sought this person out. And I felt comfortable, just to answer that question about that. But I can't remember any other feelings in that moment. I will say that it feels very kind of professional when I'm in a session. If I'm doing like a virtual session or in-person session, I feel like I've got so many things going on, because it usually is over like a computer, and so I'm like, okay, and I almost fear that I'm too in my head, making sure, like writing things down, and like, is the pillow da da da, and like that I almost fear that I'm not even able to be present. So I don't even feel like I'm as available as I quote unquote should be, because I'm not fully in it. And it's almost like when it is like time for me to go in, I just almost kind of protecting myself from the noise that says like, this is stupid. Like, what you're doing is dumb. And I'm like, I know that already. Like, I know that already. And I've already been taught if I feel like I'm making it up, then it's probably the right thing. And I'm just going to write it down. And so it's almost just protecting myself and holding the boundary of like allowing in that noise and saying like, I understand this could be all baloney, but I am going to write it down and just kind of like go. I haven't had an experience yet, or at least I don't feel connected to one of like where I feel like anything personal of mine has been triggered in the session, other than my own letting in like noise that says it's baloney. And then kind of like being willing to work with whomever comes in. But it's only been, like I said, my two uncles and my grandma, who, as I said, my grandmother mainly just sits there and
I love her.
So, but in terms of, and then I feel like whenever I get downloads from the divine on the daily, it's always triggering, because it usually, I don't want to say always, but it's usually like something I don't want to do, something I'm afraid of, something that is like, goes to my core of like, I'm going to get in trouble, or like, I'm going to be humiliated. It's so much about humiliation. I'm going to get yelled at. You can't do that. You can't say that. They're going to hate you. They're all going to hate you. Like all of stuff. It's usually that. So, and I feel like that kind of is part of why I'm getting the communication, is because the divine's like, you need to work through some of this nonsense that you think, you know, and what if you do get yelled at? Because I had an experience a week or so ago where I got communication and I did not listen to it. And it was really shitty.
I was going to ask if you're ever like, that's too far, I won't do it.
Yeah, and like, in hindsight, it's always like, I can't believe you, like, thought you were, like, something horrible was going to happen if you said something. But it's very enticing to me to not say something. Of course, and it happens. I rarely want to say something. I would rather just keep my mouth shut. And so it's often like triggering to my nonsense ideas to the communication that I get. And so I really have to connect myself to like, you're getting the download for a reason. And sometimes if I don't say something very perilous could happen to a person out in the world, or even to me. I feel a little more free in a session when I'm like, okay, your inner child said this. I don't know if that's a thing. And they're like, oh my God, it is. And it da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay. So it feels a little safer there, because it's like somebody is asking me to tell them what I see and hear. But in the world, like in life, it's a bit harder for me.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, they really are. Your team is putting you through the ringer. I can't imagine.
Do you still consider yourself religious in like a Christian sense? Like, you said Jesus is on your team. Do you go to church, or what's your sort of relationship with that like side of things?
I don't go to church, but I do find, and I mean, well, let's put it this way. If I'm visiting my family, might go to church. I'm not like against going to church, because it's very kind of like social and cultural to me.
Yeah, totally.
And then I've gone to church with my boyfriend's mom, who's Catholic. I just really love being in a space where it's like people are openly, freely talking about spirituality and talking about the divine, talking about Jesus, talking about God. I really love that because I don't get to do that, or I don't feel like I can do that in a lot of spaces. Like even yoga, like I've been taking yoga, which I was so resistant to. And in one of my sessions, just for me, my teacher was like, I feel yoga for you. And I was like, that's cute. I'm not doing it. And so I didn't start doing yoga until like years after she told me that. And now I love it. But like sometimes my yoga studio offers Pilates classes, and I've taken those classes and I was like, this feels like hollow. Like we're not, and it's not even like in my yoga classes, they're like doing anything. There's just, I need like a spiritual element, or it feels like, why are we in here to me? And so, which I did not, that's a new awareness for me, because I definitely used to just go running outside, and there was, even though I would talk to the divine when I was running. So, but anyway, I need there to be a spiritual element, but I'm not against going to church. I just, don't go, and I don't have a church here, and like
there's no wrong answer.
Yeah, no judgment here.
But I definitely have people in my life where I am regularly getting to talk about the divine. Like I have a spiritual mentor, and he has been like instrumental in sort of like he was the first person to point out to me when I got divine communication. Like I told him, I was like, oh my God, I won this case. I had no business winning. It's a different case or emotion. And he was like, and I told him about my whole day, and what the day started with, like, I was picking out my clothes. I was trying to pick out my clothes, and I got divine communication to wear this like red dress. And I was like, a red dress to court? Like what? You know, and it was like it was a professional dress. It wasn't like it was a cocktail dress to wear to court, but I was just like, what? But I wore it. And then later, and he was like, you know, the most important thing that you did that day that helped you win that case? And I was like, what? He's like, wearing the red dress. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, because that was you getting the divine communication, and you wore it. So that was you signaling to the divine that you were ready to like partner. And I was like, really? And so like, yeah. And so like, he's been very helpful. And like, that was that was you getting communication. That was you agreeing to partner. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so, it became like a thing where before a trial, I would usually wear red. And if I wasn't going to wear red, I would put on red lipstick. And to the point where like, I was like afraid to put on the lipstick. I was like, I don't want to put on the lipstick because I know that means the divine's going to put me through the ringer today. And I don't want to do that.
It's your opt-in.
Right. And I was like, I don't want to do it. And I would be like standing at the door, and I'm like crying because I would be terrified. Like being a trial lawyer is very scary.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
Trial lawyer, and my boyfriend would be like, okay, you're going to put on the lipstick. And I'm like, I don't want to put on the lipstick. I just want to be left alone. He's like, put on the lipstick. And he's like, he'd be like, who are you? Because that's the other thing. Like, I became, like, I got like a nickname in court. My nickname was like Killer. And I was
Love
like,
it.
I'm not a killer. Like, I'm standing there crying. And my boyfriend's like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm a killer. And he's like, right. And like, what do killers do? And I'm like, they kill. And he's like, what's the lipstick? And I'm like, it's the blood of my enemies.
That is adorable, and also I feel for you so much. Like,
this is going in this.
Sounds like a terrible time. You should write a book about it.
Okay, I'm gonna hit you up later. We're writing a script. We're gonna get this option. This is like so happening. I love this so much.
Good. I mean,
6 seasons in a movie. I'm like done. You're just amazing. I had a question and I lost it because everything's so good. Okay. I feel like we should draw a card, but before we do that, I want to ask you, because everything you've told us so far today has blown my mind, as I feel like I could speak for Emily, has probably also blown her mind as well. Like, you are an incredibly spiritual, in tune, talented person who is many things. So how do you feel about the word witch? How do you feel about identifying as a shaman publicly? Like, what is keeping it private for you versus thinking that you can't own that, because you are clearly super, super owning that in your day-to-day life in a way that's very impressive.
I guess I thought of everything I'm doing under the rubric of spirituality, and I don't know why. I guess on some level I feel like witchcraft is something else. I'm like, am I even allowed to use that word? I there's a lot of, like, for me, everything is about rules and what am I allowed and what am I not allowed and
Lawyer,
whatever.
yeah.
But I guess to me it felt like, because I don't even know if, like, a lot of the stuff I do on a day-to-day even is appropriate in the level of, like, Christianity. Like, I don't even know. Like, I feel like, and these are maybe just my ideas, I'm like, well, people on this side, they're not going to feel comfortable with it, and people on that side aren't going to be comfortable with it, and, like, but so I think it's just a lot of ideas about, you know, what I'm allowed to do or say and not allowed to do or say. Like, there are people in my life and in my family who are very, like, I would say traditional Christian, and it depends on the definition of terms. Like, if Christianity is like, you believe that, I guess, that Jesus is the Savior, and then what is it, like, in the Trinity? And I'm like, I guess I believe that, but I don't know that I believe that Jesus is the Savior in the way that other people think is the Savior. And then if witchcraft is like spells and potions, I don't know, you know, because I'm like, even what you said earlier, Kate, like, a lot of what my family does, like, my mom's a reverend, but she, like, my boyfriend calls her the goddess of traveling mercies. Because I don't know if you know this, but, like, whatever, this is something that Black people say a lot when they're praying for you. Like, we send you traveling mercies, basically. Like, we hope your travel to and from a location goes well. But my mom, when people have upset her, or, you know, she has prayed for them, and, you know, 2 of those people got into car accidents.
Oh my
and maybe even 3. And then, because she said, well, I just told the Lord to take care of him.
Wow.
And then he did. And I'm like, Mom.
Mom!
So,
Wow.
This is the Reverend. This is the Reverend. And then she, like, she accidentally left her cell phone on the hood of her car and drove off. And then a boy, I don't know if he was really a boy. That's my aunts define him a boy. He's like 22.
Yeah, right.
Found her cell phone. A young man found her cell phone on the highway, picked it up, and returned it to her. And then my mother's car was stolen out of her driveway because she had the car running and it was cold outside. So these kids, like, stole her car. I was like, Mom, are you okay? She's like, I'm going to pray on it. When I get home from prayer meeting, she said, I'm going to tell the Lord I want my car back when I get home. And I was like, okay, well, call me when you get home. Her car was returned.
Wow.
When she got home from church, her car was there. So I'm like, that sounds a little witchy. But
Yes.
she doesn't think it's witchy. She thinks she prayed to the Lord and she got what she asked for.
Yeah. It's both. There are Christian witches there, you know. Well,
Yeah.
it sounds like it's in your family, the very strong ties to the divide. That's such a gift.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I think what holds me back is me feeling like, well, there are going to be people who question it, but I think I would just define myself as, like, I'm a spiritual person, and I am officially, training wise anyway, a Reiki master and a shaman, but I'm particular.
Yeah.
Language. I guess I'm thinking about all the reasons why you could question.
These things, like, mean different things to different people. So it's also like, who are you talking to? You know, like,
Yeah.
And you know, what are you willing to let them know about you? There's a lot of
Yes, because there are a lot of preconceived notions and stereotypes, and people hear the word witch, especially, I think, is supercharged. So, and like you said, you have to, depending on the group of people too, you know, you have to, I think, be cognizant.
Yeah. I think shaman is such a nice term because it, like, sort of separates you from the weirdness of witch, you know, like where it feels more like I'm like practicing a tradition.
Yeah, you're like
where I'm like engaging with something someone else has taught me.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I feel like with Reiki, it's I think a lot of ways Reiki is very much can be more about like the body and like healing things with the body, and I don't really know if if that's like where I'm good or whatever. I think I'm more like, let's just go straight to in the body and like your inner child. Like I feel like that
heading straight for the soul.
Right, because I'm like, I don't know if I can
The
do
other white
that,
meat.
because
Yeah.
my cousin, who's very traditional, but she's also she's a PhD in psychology, so she's like a whatever, and she was like, oh, I want you to do a session on me, and I was like, really? Because are you okay with that? And she was like, yeah, we use it at the hospital, and like it's helped a lot of people. And I was like, okay. And so, but then I did the session on her, and I think she was expecting it to be more like aches and pains. And I was like, so your inner child was telling me this. And she was like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like that. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. That's all that's just what comes to me.
Yeah. Well, I think you have the gift and knowledge that you have. And like,
Right. I don't think I'm not trained in Reiki at all. We've had several different Reiki masters and practitioners come on and speak with us. But I think that's something that Emily and I personally really believe in, not to put words in your mouth, Em, but like we've talked about this, is that your practice is your own, and like what you pull from and how you practice in your day to day, whether that is for the public or just for yourself, is, I think, completely legitimate. We, of course, always want to be like really cognizant of cultural appropriation, but beyond that, I feel like we call ourselves like quote unquote eclectic witches because there are no rules. Like in my book, like I think,
no one would be like, "Oh, you're not a real Christian because you're not a priest."
Right? Exactly. Or like, "Oh, you didn't go to rabbinical school. Like you're not." So it's just you. I think you, and I think again, that's something that we see a lot in people, is this kind of that imposter syndrome that I can't claim this, but like you've gone through the training, you get downloads. You just told us so many. Counsel, you just went through several case studies of how your spirituality has helped you in a real and practical way. I dubbed thee witch. I'm sorry. Like you're witchy as fuck, Andrea. However you want to call yourself, I view you as very powerful, and might need to book a session with you very soon because my soul is scattered and I need to go. Uncle Porkchop and Joan of Arc need to come help me because that's amazing.
Yeah, my inner child's like, she has a deer though.
Yes, my inner child is very excited about the deer as well. Yeah. You are very gifted. That's incredible. I very impressed and in awe of everything that you've shared with us. Thank you.
You're welcome. I really appreciate this reflection. It's so helpful to take it in. And it also makes me feel some like, oh, my mom might be a witch. Like, it feels like, it makes me feel
very powerful. I'm a little scared of your mom.
Well, and I mean, I don't know. A lot of the things that we talk about, but like one of the things we talk about on this podcast a lot or have over the years is just that, like, what is witchcraft but like spirituality that someone thought was dangerous? Like it's just a religion that like isn't supposed to have the power in like, a given society. Anyway, just something to think about.
Yeah. I love that.
That is so deep. I love that so much.
Well, because a lot of the things that we talk about, like, we had a Vodou practitioner on one time, and it's like, that's just the religion, and it was witchcraft because it was not acceptable to the people who wanted those people not to have power anymore. Right. Anyway, something to think about. I don't know. I think about that a lot with, like, witchcraft, is, like, who gets to call it witchcraft? Why isn't a Catholic, like, lighting incense witchcraft? I don't know.
Yeah. Word.
Or candles. Absolutely. Or whatever else.
Absolutely.
So, should we draw a card?
Yes, let's draw a card. I was like, the difference is taxes. Some of us have taxes. And the other people don't. So, what deck do you have for us, Andrea, today?
It's called the Hip Hop Queens.
Love! Amazing.
So, I was in a session with someone once, and there was a particular hip hop artist that played a very big role in her childhood, and that was one of the cards that came up. I was like, oh my God. And it was not somebody who I would have thought by looking at her where hip hop would have played a role in her life as strongly as it did. I was like, I'm surprised you even know what
Person of the mayonnaise persuasion like myself.
I was going to say white. We're saying she's white, right?
Yes, but then also just not even like, it was a shock. I was like, I don't know why I'm being pulled to these cards, because I have a few decks, and so, but I was like, okay, and it turned out to be, so again, I'm so glad I listened, because it was so helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the deck, and so I would definitely going to have to, because there's like a booklet of like,
I want to know.
Yeah, that's perfect. So many like great oracle card decks and stuff also have like a little like like they have the little booklet, and it's like you're not supposed to have every single deck you've ever seen memorized. Like, look it up. We do it all the time.
Yes, and also it's nice to know what the author and artist
what the
had in mind.
author and artist were thinking, because even like different interpretations of like a pretty classic tarot can be really interesting to hear, like what they were thinking of when they drew the art and that kind of thing.
Yes. You're not a fraud, Andrea.
Thank you.
Okay, let's draw a card for the week from your Hip Hop Queens deck. I'm so excited.
Okay. Oh, Mary J. Blige.
Yay!
Speaking of powerful women.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Oh, my God. She has
Queen, iconic.
This duet. I don't know if it's a duet, but with U2. I love that song. It's the song One. Do you want me to read what it says?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Mary J. Blige, healing, reflection, therapy, breaking patterns, recovery. There's no one who can get us and our feelings quite like Mary J. Blige. The queen of hip-hop soul has delivered hymns of pain and promise since her debut album, What's the 411? She's had us searching for real love and led us in chants, declaring we want no more drama. Mary J. Blige urges us to recognize toxic patterns in ourselves and those we love in an effort to recover from all that has harmed us in this life, our previous one and the next. She does so with grace, yet she's tough as nails. Who wouldn't be after bearing her soul time and time again? You can't heal what you don't reveal. Mary's card is prompting you to take a closer look at the traumas you've endured and to understand how you're behaving in the present. Identify the obstacles you've encountered in your life. Sometimes we react so aggressively to the slightest things, and we have no idea why. Well, it's time to explore the reasons. A personal deep dive will help you better understand yourself and, in turn, help you better control your emotions. If you can't do it on your own, seek the guidance of a professional or a spiritual guide or elder. You deserve a drama-free life, starting with yourself. Okay, Mary.
Wow.
I love that. I love that so much. That's such a perfect message for today.
Yeah, so relevant, I feel like, in some ways to what we've been talking about, too.
Yeah.
Yes, I just wrote that down. Like, you can't heal what you won't reveal.
Yeah.
Damn, that's good. That's so good.
Goosebumps, unfortunately.
So, Andrea, are you open to provide, to people? Obviously, you have shows, you do comedy. We didn't even get to touch on your amazing comedy.
Yeah.
But like, so one, how can people find you and follow you? And two, are you open to possibly providing services, or right now is this still kind of just a private thing?
Yes, I'm definitely open to providing services. You can reach me on on Instagram at Andrea Coleman Comedy, and my website is also Andrea Coleman Comedy. I did have you can just, if you want a session of some kind, you can DM me there or private message me there on Instagram or on my website. I did start building a Reiki website, and it's still waiting for me to do something with it, but I even took photos.
Oh.
But
well, I'm sure that the divine will tell you when it is time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, your team will
You'll
let you know.
get that message when it's time.
Amazing.
They don't seem to be pretty quiet about what they want. So.
I know. Very vocal. Very vocal. Well, will you take a photo also of that beautiful card of Mary J. Blige? We'll post that on our Instagram.
Absolutely.
And we'll link to your Insta and your website as well. You can follow us at Witchcast Podcast on Instagram. And we'll also have all of your information on our website at witchcastpodcast.com, so people can find you there as well. But yeah, please reach out to Andrea, follow her, go see her shows, book of her session.
Yeah. Also a spectacular comedian.
Yes.
Oh,
So
thank you.
And an amazing lawyer too. You have it all, man. You have every package.
the true triple threat: spiritual advisor, comedian, and lawyer.
Yes. Honestly,
Eat
amazing.
your heart out, dancers. And you can always email us if you have any questions, thoughts, feelings, things you'd like us to talk about at witchcastpodcast@gmail.com. And hey, while you're out there on the internet, you're always welcome to leave us a little 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or wherever fine podcasts are listened to. It really makes our day and also helps other people find us.
Yes, we really appreciate it.
And you do it.
Until next time.
Hex yeah!
'Cause it's Witchcast.